The sport of barrel racing has always been pushing limits when it came to women in professional sports. The Women's Professional Rodeo Association, more affectionately named the Girls Rodeo Association in 1948, was started by 38 women who wanted their talents to be recognized in the male-dominated sport of rodeo. At the age of 3, Dusky Lynn Hall was placed on a pony by her barrel racing mother, Dusky, who is also the daughter of barrel racer Dusky, and little did she know, she would change the public persona of barrel racing altogether recently. Dusky has the ambition and determination of athletes much more seasoned than she is, but at the age of 5, she declared she wanted to win and went on to do just that, surpassing $1 million of purse money won by the age of 10 years old. Mom Dusky, CFO of the operations, will make no argument that while Dusky is to maintain the mentality of having fun barrel racing, it is big business being a cowgirl. Now, let's get to business. Hey everybody, I am your host Tatiana Ryan, and this is the Businessy Podcast. And I today think I have the youngest little businesswoman with me. She's got so many different headlines describing her. 11-year-old phenom earns multiple wins in the American rodeo. Pint-sized powerhouse earns 6 figures in August for barrel racing. 11-year-old barrel racing phenom with awesome name dusts the world championship at $1 million rodeo. Am I getting those correct, Dusky Lynn Hall?
Yes, ma'am.
The pint-sized powerhouse. Girl, you are smoking everyone.
Yes, she is. She's done very well for herself.
You've done very well for yourself. And everywhere you look, you see clips of your rides on social media everywhere. What does it feel like seeing all this?
It's amazing.
Is it? Now, when you got started, you're from Texas, barrel racing kind of chose you, didn't it? Instead of you choosing barrel racing.
It mostly did.
Now, how did you get your start?
She wants me to answer that. So my mom is a barrel racer and her name is Dusky. Mm-hmm. And then I'm a barrel racer and my name is Dusky. And then she's a barrel racer and her name is Dusky. So she's a 3rd generation Dusky barrel racer. And so we all have different middle names. And so, barrel racing, I guess you could say, is bred into her, this is really all she wants to do. And there really is nothing else on the horizon for her. And so, she got started. Her brother is a calf roper. And so, when she was 6 days old, she went to her first rodeo. She really, from the start, did rodeo, and that's it. And so, and then now he's 21 and doesn't rope a whole lot anymore, but we go a lot with her now. He's adulting. So, but her start was, riding the pony around while Brandon roped. And then the pony got to a bigger horse and a bigger horse and a bigger horse. And, and before long at her first youth rodeos, when she was 5 years old, she was running 20s in the poles already, which is unheard of. Mm-hmm. And so, and in her barrel times in the youth rodeos, she'd run the fastest time of the whole weekend of any age group at 6. And so that's how her start came about. And I always tried to keep her on a horse that she was matched with her level. She was asking the horse for its life. And then we'd move to the next one. I tried to never make her overmounted where she was pulling back and scared. She was always, I want to go faster. I want to go faster, and she loves the competition, it didn't matter. Her friends were like, oh, so-and-so's here, or Brittany Posey, or NFR girls. And she's like, I'm here to compete with them. And I'm at their level, even when she was 9, she was that way. So her start has been, ponies, a little bit bigger ponies, to now, Ain't Seen Famous Yet's won over $1 million. And she's one of that, so her start was, playing in the dirt in the arena with her brother roping, and then she wanted to rope, and she never really liked roping that much, but she's good at being a barrel racer. So
it's funny you just brought up Brittany Posey, who one of my friends actually went to school with her. So yeah, you're taking on such stiff competition.
Yes. Well, and the tougher the competition, the more she liked it. Most people are like, well, I'm just going to keep my kids over here at the youth rodeo because, that's their level of competition. Well, she wanted to, do the American when she was 6. Well, we started it when she was 7. She made the American to Cowtown Coliseum when she was 7 years old on 2 horses, which was the max you could do. So she ran at Cowtown when she was 7 years old. She made it to Globe Life when she was 9 on Dexter. And then again this year on Wally at age 11, so like she's had the American rodeos age 7, age 8, age 9, 10, 11. Like this is what her 4th or 5th year to do it. She's a veteran now, kind of, and then every year we make it further and further, like this year was the Final 4, so every year we've made it further and further down that path that you have to go with them. But it's her goal to win the $1 million. And so that's why we do all of this, to try to, let her fulfill her goals. So
you're homeschooled. Was that a choice to go around the barrel racing, or was that, a choice from your family perspective?
I mean, she wanted to do homeschool, but the main reason we chose, she was at a Christian school, private school in Huntsville, and did 1st grade and 2nd grade there. Well, by 2nd grade, she had a goat horse and a pole horse and a barrel horse, and we were doing the youth rodeos. And so she would come home from school and, ride till 10 o'clock at night. Well, then whenever the next morning, it's 30 minutes to school, she would sleep all the way to school. And then we would get her out of school at 3 o'clock. She would sleep all the way home. And then it's like, okay, you got to get up. You've got 4. And I hired a girl to come help us ride, like where she could get done earlier, get in the house, get in the bed earlier. Well, by Friday, sleeping all the way to school, sleeping all the way home, she just was exhausted. Like you couldn't even get her up to go to school on Friday. And so we would usually leave for the weekend. So not even go to school on Friday. And, and so it got to the point like she was just tired, and it was a lot. Because then we started going to bigger events that required more days of my school. And my husband said, you've got to go down one path or the other. Like you cannot keep this up. It's not good for her. It's not healthy for her. And so we decided, like he said, you're not homeschooling unless you hire a teacher to come here, because y'all would never do school. You'd be in the barn constantly, which we do, And so we hired a retired teacher who has a master's in education, who comes to our house and teaches our school. They have a classroom, a chalkboard, the whole bit. We turned our formal dining room into a classroom. Like they close the doors and they do school for 3 or 4 or 5 hours, the days we're home. And then if we're gone for a month or so on the road, they do FaceTime school. So she takes her books, the teacher has her teacher books, and they do FaceTime school. Because, I guess in January when we went out to Vegas for the American, we didn't come home till almost March. And so, but it was school time, we had to do, and like they've already started 6th grade yesterday. Most kids are out for the summer. Well, she gets so much time off during the year with our events that I'm like, it's too hot. We don't do anything else right now except ride horses because it's hot. And so we start school and we try to get a jump on 6th grade. And so she has the homeschool teacher that comes here, or they do FaceTime. And so, and she's ahead, like most kids that are homeschooled, like they haven't even finished the last year because they haven't done it. Well, we're already done with 5th grade and starting 6th grade. And so she's, we try to stay ahead with her schoolwork. We want her to be smart, because my husband and I were both, I went to college on an academic scholarship. And so, we want her to be the smartest, best barrel racer there is. So.
Dusky, when did you start taking barrel racing into the big arenas and want to actually go forward with it? When you tell your mom, I want to take this all the way.
Well, I was 5 or 6, and we were in our living room, and we were watching TV, and the American came on, and I saw London Gorham on at the American, and I was like, Mom, I want to go win the millionth American, and that's when they were in for it, and they have always been.
Yes. Yeah. I think she might have been 5 or 6. And she said, I think London was 9 at the time, and she had won a round at Cowtown and made it on to the next level before they changed the format of the American. And so she said, I want to win the $1 million. Like, she thought London had won the $1 million, which she hadn't, but she was little and she realized like, okay, I can do this because she's a kid, I'm a kid. And so she said, Mom, I want to win the $1 million. And I was like, okay, and the first American qualifier we put her in, she was 7 and she had how old was that? 18, 19, 18 or 19-year-old mare. And she was nice. And then we had Chaco. And how old was he? 15.
16 at the time.
Probably 15 or 16-year-old gelding. And she'd already had a full page ad in the Barrel Horse News on Chaco. So she was winning. But American's tough, right? I mean, that's back when there was 150 people at one American qualifier. They're not that big anymore. And so she said, you need to put me in American. And I was like, okay. So we went to the toughest place we could find, Glen Rose, and I think Haley ran sister, Cassie ran a couple of horses, Brittany, and I have the picture. It's Cassie, Brittany. I mean, all NFR girls. And here's my little 7-year-old in the front. And she ended up, 4th on the 19-year-old mare. So that's whenever we realized like, okay, she's going to be able to hang with the best there is. So, and we did, and we still are. So we try hard, don't we? Yep.
What does it mean for you to be a part of the American Rodeo or Cinch Rodeo or the newer rodeos, as you said, that are changing these formats? Because, when I was doing barrels, it was like WPRA and NBHA, and that was it. And NBHA became more lucrative. So a lot of these programs watched that, and they did start changing things.
Right.
You have brand new things that a lot of generations didn't have before you.
Especially me. I mean, whenever I was growing up, you had youth rodeo, and just jackpots that weren't open. There was no 4D, so like on the weekends, I ran against girls that have been to the NFR. You either ran in the youth or the open, and that was it. So yeah, I mean, she has a lot bigger platform with even all the incentive races, and the American. I mean, that's such an opportunity for them at whatever age you are to go to it, What do you think about that?
It's amazing that they let small people and young people
or whatever.
Well, you are small. Yeah. You ever feel like that may be an advantage because you are tiny compared to everybody else?
Well, everybody says that. They're like, well, she probably weighs half of what Cassie or Brittany and them weigh.
Haley is
we've stood by them at the American, and I mean, she's probably not a head smaller. And Haley and them, they get down to like 88 pounds during the NFR, and Dusky Lynn's 78 pounds. So like, we're about the same, like it's now when she was 7. Yeah. I mean, she weighed 45 pounds. So, there was an advantage, but even Cassie, I mean, she's tiny. I mean, what does she probably weigh? 100 pounds, maybe soaking wet. So we're kind of evening that out because she's gotten taller and she's a little bit bigger. And she told me the other day, she's like, Mom, I'm 78 pounds finally, because she did grow so slow, which I was glad, but she's finally getting taller.
Tell us a little bit about your horse. Wally is the latest one. How many horses do you have all together that you show?
4 burro horses right now.
Okay. And Wally's your smoker that keeps just hitting everybody.
Yes, he does. And he came from Amelia McCumber in Atkinson, Nebraska. and we were at Ruby Buckle, and she was at BBR, and she asked my mom. My mom asked Amelia and said, "Will you sell Wally?" She said, "No, no, no, no," because Wally was like her first good horse, because her other horse got hurt and she had to put him to sleep. So Wally was a baby, and her husband were newlyweds. So they said, "We can't buy any more colts, so you have to make this one work." So she ran him at his first maturity as a 5-year-old, and he literally trod the pattern because he was scared of everything. And every person that came out of the ranch says, "I'll give you this horse for $2,000. Like, literally, I'll give you this horse for $2,000. Just take it." And nobody's like, "That horse isn't going to make anything. He's scared of everything." And then Amelia, that's all she had. So she had to work with him every single day. And I mean, he's still spooky to this day, and he just has been an amazing horse.
Yeah, what she's talking about at the BBR, I had messaged Amelia a year and a half before that. And it took her a little over a year to get back with me. First, she told me, no, I can't sell my unicorn, right? I mean, he built her barn, he built her house. She had won about $470,000 on him by the time he was 9 years old. So the horse nobody wanted.
Because she can't go that much because she's a nurse.
Right. Well, she's actually a doctor. She's a PA. So, and she lives in Nebraska. So, and she only gets two weeks of vacation. So she'd won $470,000 with 2 weeks of vacation. She wasn't a barrel horse trainer, and she would take off 4 or 5 months because it gets so cold in Nebraska. Like, she would just turn him out for 4 months and just put him in the pasture. So there's no telling if he'd have been in the, like, where he is now, how much he could have won. But anyway, when he was 9, she called me and or messaged me back on Facebook, because we weren't friends at the time. I just messaged her and said, "Would you sell him?" No. So then, a year goes by.
Everybody said no.
Well, everyone we've ever bought has said no, yes. So I'm sure she did her homework on Dusky Lynn and us. And, and back then, I mean, she wasn't as much media attention as she has now, right? So she messaged me and she said, "I will sell him to you on one condition." And I was like, "Oh my God, do you want my kid to live with you? Like, what can it possibly be?" And she said, "I want to meet you. I want to meet your family. I want to meet your daughter. I want to meet y'all." And I'm like, "Okay, well, we'll fly to Nebraska tomorrow." And she's like, "No." So that's what she's talking about. We were at Ruby Buckle and she was at the BBR, and she said, "I want to meet you there." And we went and met with her like 3 days in a row, drove down from Ruby Buckle. She was at BBR and just stood at the stall, just got to know her, visited with her, talked with her. We actually went and watched her run him in the shootout at the BBR World Finals. And I mean, 3 days goes by and she never says, like, "Okay, I'm going to be okay with this. I like you," nothing. And finally on the last,
very preserved.
She's very, very quiet and very, preserved, I guess is the word for it. Anyways, I mean, she's a doctor, so, eccentric type. So she says, "I want to see her ride him." And I was like, "No, that's a bad idea." Because as soon as we put her saddle on him and we walk out of this barn, the whole world's going to know, right? Like, I wanted to just give her a check and leave, not let everybody in the world that's at BBR World Finals, the biggest barrel race, right, see her on him. Because people then would realize he could be bought, and no telling what they would do, double the price. I mean, you don't know, right? Especially a horse of that caliber. So she said, "He's leaving here with me or you. I don't care if they offer me $1 million. She said, "It means more to me that he goes to a little girl that loves him than money." And I'm like, okay, but people can be persuaded with money. Most people can. But she's, her parents are farmers, like they're very true to their roots and honorable, So she goes and rides him. People are coming to the fence to watch her, just in the warm-up arena. London's mom, in fact, is like, "What is she doing on him? Why is she on that horse?" And I'm like, "Well, we're just riding her for him," like try just like, she's like, "Do you want me to video for you?" And I'm like, "No, don't bring any more attention to us. Like, just stop." Dakota Monk walks up to me carrying his saddle all the way across the warm-up arena. Why is she on Wally? And I'm like, please stop bringing attention to us, you know? So she loads him through. We go to the vet check, and she's standing there with the check, and we're loading him up. And I'm telling Dusky Lynn, I'm like, get him in the trailer, put him first in the trailer, load up Dexter.
He doesn't like to go in the trailer first. Then he wouldn't lead in the trailer.
She's standing there crying, and I'm like, oh gosh. Like, and we didn't really know her other than the 3 days we had met her. And now we're best friends. Like, we go spend the summers with them because it's cooler in Nebraska. You know, we're family friends. She comes and stays here and helps her with Wally, you know, and so like we're like best of friends now. And so, but Wally's pretty amazing. I think she's won
600.
Yeah, and a truck. Probably 600,000 or 700,000 on him. He's crossed 1 million. There's a couple of like her Vegas toughest winnings in Vegas. They don't even report on his Equistat. And the only way I knew was the stud owner, Lisa. She said, why is her Vegas toughest earnings not on Equistat? And I was like, I don't know. I don't check that. You know, like, what does it matter to me? We own him. And so she's won 200,000 on him out in Vegas the last 2 years, and it's not on his Equistat. It's not on hers either, you know? And so I asked them, could you please report that and get it on his Equistat? And so, and hers, you know, because I didn't know they did Equistat rider reports. And so anyway, I'm pretty sure he's well over 1 million at this point. And so, but who else do you have? What other horses do you have?
Louis, J.H. Firewater Honor. He came from Julie Murphy. No, not Julie Murphy.
Yeah, Julie Murphy was riding him.
Julie Murphy was riding him, and he won the Royal Crown, the Derby, the second day, and he's been really good. And then,
you know, Macon Murphy, the calf roper, it's his mom. That's who she's talking about. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was. He actually came from Chris Coffey, the futurity trainer. Futurity trained him. And then Kristen Roby, they live in Texas now. Her husband rode him. And then some people, not Josie Connor, but people with the same last name owned him. And the daughter grew up, you know, got out of college. And he's only 7. And so we got him because Julie Murphy was running him. I saw him and I was like, man, that's a nice horse. And so we bought him a month ago.
2 months ago. We bought
maybe
him in
2 months
March.
ago. Yeah.
And then we just bought a 5-year-old. His registered name is Chasing a Win. His barn name's Spit, and he came from
a lady from Washington, not a barrel racer, owned him. Mm-hmm. But he won about 100,000 as a maturity horse. We just bought him. He's 5. So she's got Spit, Louis, the J.H. Firewater, Wally, and then she's got the one she was on the cover of the Barrel Horse News, Katie Baby Driver. Mm-hmm. We bought him. So this month we'll have owned him a year, and she's won about 200.
No, we already owned him because we bought him in May.
No, we bought him in June of 2024, but she's won over 200,000 on him in less than a year. And so, and he only had about 17,000 on his Equistat the day we bought him. And that's the one she's on the cover, won the Breeders' Challenge finale on. I mean, he's got the arena record at Glenrose. He's got a couple. He's really nice. And then she's got Dexter. The Trouble Never Looked So Good.
Count.
He does count. He's my favorite.
We can't even run him anymore.
No, we're probably not going to be able to run him anymore. But he's the one she made it to Globe Life on when she was 9. Mm-hmm. And he's 12, and he's hurt himself again. So we're off of him again. But he set an arena record in January at Hamilton at the Lone Star Maturity Shootout, and then he hurt himself again. And so she's got those 5. And we also own VFI's The Famous. We bought from Sarah Rose McDonald. She runs her on and off. And so she's got 6 barrel horses, and you got Copper.
No, I got 5 because my 4 boys and then I said 5.
She doesn't count Dexter because he's hurt.
Yes, he is hurt.
And then we have Copper, her little pole horse.
That looks like a balloon.
So yes, because he's always off because we don't get to go run poles. The day the American was over on Saturday night, on Sunday morning they had a KK pole qualifier, and she wants to get qualified for Vegas for the poles because she loves the poles. And I was like, you don't really have the advantage because we've been working on, running Wally all week at the American. Copper's just been standing here all week. I want to go run Pulse. And I was like, okay.
So we forgot our bit at the house. We had to go scuff up a bit at Tusty's.
Yes, we had to go buy a bit, buy a tie down because the pole horse's stuff was at home. We had the horse with us in Arlington. And it's only an hour.
We weren't planning on running it.
No, it's only an hour over to Abilene from from Weatherford. So I'm like, okay, we have to go make a bit up. And he's small, like he's 13 hands probably.
Yeah.
So she's like, you got to go to the pony section to buy a pony head stall, a pony bit, and a pony tie down. She runs a 19.9 in the polls on him, wins the polls, and we're sitting there waiting. And she's like, Mom, he's kind of fat and he hasn't been rode all week, and he's probably going to run a 21 because
I thought he was going to run like a 22, and I didn't really care.
And I was like, we just came off the American yesterday that you did amazing. So just whatever, have fun,
Mm-hmm.
And she runs a 19.9 and wins the polls. And so anyway, it was definitely worth it. And then she has Goody.
Oh God, Goody. He's my little pony. That's a brat.
Yeah, he's like, and so I would say he's maybe 11. She's trained him herself. And he stays home.
Then we have Boomer.
Yeah, she won the 3D pony race at the All-American Youth on Goody, the little pony that she's trained herself. And then we just bought a new
Streaking Boondocks.
4-year-old Streaking Boondocks from the Bowers, Billy Bauer and them. Billy broke her and rode her for about a year, and she started her on the barrels. This will be her first horse to train all by herself. And so she's doing really good. In fact, she cruised her through the barrels today, this morning, and the mare's doing amazing. So we're hoping she'll be her next Wally or Enzo or whatever. She's got so many superstars in the barn, And then who else do you have? We have a couple of retired, like the mare she made the American on when she was 7. She's here. She's retired. Dee Butterfield trained her. She's 20.
We have Miko. What kind of Miko?
3. And we have a newborn baby.
He's a brat.
Ain't seen nothing yet, of course, right? We love Wally. And then I have Isa, the VFI is a famous mare that we own. So it's Eddie Benson, and Ace, right? And then
Miko's a brat.
Brandon has a couple of retired calf horses here, and
what's that? We only have 12.
I guess that's it. We've got a lot of horses. Not a lot. We have 12. So, and we still own Chaco, the old Doc horse, and he's with a little girl, and he'll come back, at some point. So he's nice too. So
you not only take the training and the riding very seriously, but being a jockey, I saw a video of you. Somebody got a video at one of your rodeos. You were out there on your Segway doing the pattern and even lifting your leg up, like as you're going around, as if you were a little too close, girl.
And she whips the Segway. Yes. We are on probably like Segway number 10 because she whips it with a whip, like you whip, to go home. And then it tears the Segway. So we have to throw it away and buy a new Segway. Don't we? Yes. Yes.
Is that your main means of transportation besides a horse? Because I've seen videos. That is too funny that you were even out there lifting your leg and using the whip. And how many Segways have you gone through? 10 now?
I've lost count. She just orders another one on Amazon and gets another one. She'll announce herself. This is Dusky Lynn Hall on 18 Famous Yet. And she'll know like what the announcer said and what event she was at and new arena record, or whatever. And I'm like, how do you remember exactly what they said? Turn in the first barrel, turn in the second barrel, because she's watched her videos over and over and over again of those good runs. And then she runs them on the Segway. And then now, like her friends, they time each other who can go the fastest on the Segway without wiping out, We had a Segway barrel race. Alan Moorhead announced at Memphis. And yes, they were timing each other. And so, and nobody goes as fast on the Segways. So she's like, go faster to her friends. And I'm like, no, they're going to end up in the emergency room. No, she's actually fallen off the Segway and had a concussion before. And so I'm like, can you please not drive that thing so fast where you don't hurt yourself? Huh?
As you just said, she's talking to herself the way that the announcers are talking. How important is it for you to prep like that, to get your mind frame where you're like, all right, let's do this?
I don't really get my mind frame on it. I just do it for fun, and I just have fun.
Her mentality, barrel race. Like it's just another barrel race. And I've always told her that, like I think the most time she was nervous was the American because it was so loud, and I was like, there's no need to be nervous because that makes your horse feel that, And so I was like, just like Saturday we were done with American and Sunday we were at Diamond Classic pole bending for Vegas, there's another one tomorrow. And I always tell her there'll be another one tomorrow. Don't be nervous, just do your best at this one and move on. And so that's kind of always been our mentality. Like she said, just, have fun and do my best. And so I never am like, you got to win this because we got to get, like some parents are that way. Well, that's too much pressure for a kid. And it's even pressure for an adult to be worried about like, oh man, I got all these entry fees and I got all this and well, that just adds fuel to the fire. Just, this is supposed to be fun, and I always remind her that in the American, that was a lot for her. It was a lot for our whole family, like just the pressure, the cameras in our faces constantly, and then, can we come to your house? Can we video you? And I'm like, we're here to win. We're not here to make TV. I don't care about the TV. Yes, you have to do it because that's part of it, but that's not the only reason we're here. We're not here for publicity. We want to win. Like she wants to set the arena record like she did on the one round, and so it's just, you just have to sometimes just not worry about the outcome and just have fun and enjoy the ride, so that's what we try to do, don't we?
Let's talk about the Boca Brands.
Well, we don't own that. That's a girl that invented Christopher.
Okay.
She invented those curb chains and then wanted Dusky Lynn to help promote them. Okay. And so then the little horse Chasing a Wind, she made a hackamore out of it with the beads on the curb chain and the noseband. And she's like, this is just a prototype. I just want you to try it. Well, Wally loves it. Like we haven't
all of my horses love it.
We haven't ran in it yet, but the Chasing a Wind, she's probably already won $20,000 on that horse. We've only owned him for 2 weeks in that hackamore. That girl, like they're not even on the market yet. People are messaging me like, how do we buy one of these? So no, that we don't own that. It's not our business. It's Erin's, but she's helping promote it because the girl, she's trying to make those curb chains patent where people can't copy her. And so she makes curb chains, she makes the little hackamores, and I don't know what else. Is there yeah, anything with the beads instead of just like a chain hackamore. She makes the silicone beads or metal beads.
She's coming out the metal one.
And so she gave her like 2 or 3 of them when we were in Vegas because she was at the Master Saddle booth and said, hey, I want you to try these. Well, Dusky Lynn was switching them at home every day. And I messaged her, I'm like, can I buy some more of these? Because like I see her over there moving them bit to bit to bit to ride different horses. And so she's like, I will send you how many ever you want, And I think Carly O'Tara rides in them.
A lot of people ride them.
Yeah. She said, I love the feel of it with them. It's just a different feel that your horse gets. And we even switched it. Wally runs in it because he doesn't really like something pulling, but it's enough to keep the bit balanced. So.
How important is it for you to stay up to date with all that, the equipment changes and everything and new stuff coming out?
She handles that. I tell her what I feel and then she makes up the bit I run it.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Most of the time. And had that girl not have tracked us down at Vegas, we were at the convention center because she signed autographs at the Master Saddle booth. And so we were, she comes running down here. It's like, I want you to try this. This is a prototype. It was the curb chain. And then she saw us at Ruby Buckle and gave us the hackamores. And so
she saw us at Memphis.
But we don't really stay up to date on new, we're not trendy type people, we use what works, we use.
We don't just use it because some people want to use it. We use it if it works on our horses.
Right. And that's why, when we tried them and they worked, I was like, hey, we need to have a few more of these. But if they wouldn't have worked, we wouldn't have been like, hey, we use the things that we feel like her saddle right saddle pads, her master saddle she loves, the Iconoclast boots, like all those things that we were already using and then now they sponsor us. We use them because we were already using them. like they work, like Succeed paced. It wasn't like, oh man, I added Succeed to my program because Succeed started sponsoring it. It was the other way around. I was already using their product, which we know works, and because it was already part of our staple of our program. And so we're not really like, oh man, this is like the new trendy thing. We need to stay up, on it. Yeah, there are things that they like the Recelerate that helps heal their lungs. The guy was like, hey, I want you to try this. Well, where we live, it's so much humidity, they're going to bleed. It's just part of it. So it helps heal their lungs back to the state that you want them to be when they're healthy and they're not being run so much. And so, and we don't try to overrun them. We try to go twice a month. We don't go every weekend. And I mean, because Molly's 11, Dexter's 12, the jet sledders to Abby that we had, that Ashley Schaefer trained, he was 11. So I don't ever run him 3 times. Like that run the same day at the American, the last time we had to walk Wally down that tunnel, he stopped. He never refuses. But when we went to lead back down there, he stopped and he's like, what are we doing here? Like, I just broke the arena record. I ran 2 hours ago. Why are you taking me back down there? Like, he just stopped. And I was like, this is probably not going to be good. And he did still run. He didn't outrun everybody, but he didn't have as great a run as he'd already had. And he just never ran twice in one day.
Yes, we've never. We ran at the hot run at Vegas Tempest.
That's true. We do have to run them twice in one day. In December in Vegas is a lot different than Arlington, when it's hot. Mm-hmm. And so, but that's a 13-second run,
It's only a 15.
Yeah. But anyway, we typically don't ask them to run that much, And so like when we got home, I was like, you're getting turned down for a month. Like you've earned what we asked you to do. And so we typically turn them out, do the Recelerate to help heal their lungs, and just let their bodies heal. Because if you just keep hammering them, you're going to end up with a broken thing or horse. And that's why, like Dexter, I'm like, we take amazing care of them. Like, but sometimes they're just going to break. It's just part of having their horses. So,
have you ever had a horse you did not connect with, just didn't get along with?
I actually have. His registered name is Rakin of Fortune. We called him Chino, and like most of all my horses are very bendy, and they like to come to me. That horse was very straight, and you really couldn't touch him. So like when you would touch him on the first barrel, he would shake his head. And one time I actually went on the wrong side of the second barrel because he was shaking his head, and I was trying to get him over. We were just fighting. We were on the wrong side of the second barrel, but we didn't get along. I had a couple runs on him. I maybe won 10,000 on him. And some runs we clicked but most of them we did not.
So we've sold him. We only owned him for about 3 months. And we had a girl that was calling us. I want to buy him. I want to buy him. I want to buy him. She's been to the NFR. And so she's like, I really want him. I really want him. And so at that time I had 6 sound horses in the barn. Dexter was going, Jax was, everything was working. So I was like, okay, if we let go of one, we have 5 others, because we try to, if we go like to Royal Crown, we'll take 3. And then the next weekend, if we decide to go somewhere, we'll take the other 3 and give those 3 a break, and just kind of rotate it. And so she was like, I really want him. And so we sold him. And it wasn't that she didn't get along with him. It just wasn't as easy as it was with Wally and Dexter and Jax. Like I don't know. We even flew the lady down here we bought him from and tried to figure out like, what are we doing here? Like and the lady got on him, made him do it perfect. We put her back on him. I don't know if it was the length of her arms, how she pulled on the reins.
Tiny.
Yeah, the lady was tiny too. Like she probably weighed 85 pounds, the lady, but she was a bigger person, so her arms are shorter and she's like, and she wasn't a horse trainer. So she's like, I cannot see what you're doing differently to help you figure out what's the conflict here. And so we tried for a couple of months, and then I kept having Ashley Castleberry wanted him and was like, I want him. And so I'm like, okay, well, we have 5 sound ones. It'll be fine. We'll let him go. And so we sold him to her. She's had him probably 3 months now, maybe 4 months. And her horse kind of has that stiffer style. So that's what she likes, but that's probably the only one we've ever had that
I haven't got along with.
And she kept telling me, she's like, Mom, if you give me more time, I'll figure him out. And she probably would have. she probably would have figured him out 100% and figured out what he needed, because that's her specialty, is figuring out what they need. Like mine is the back office, and she rides them and figures out, what makes them tick in the run to win. And so she kept telling me, Mom, I'll figure this out. And I was like, well, we have enough other ones anyways. And it just it's what was meant to be, with Ashley getting him. And so, and we hope for the best. I mean, hopefully he'll be at Vegas this year, running at the NFR, because that's what she's trying to get him to do, is make the NFR this year. So, but that's probably the only one. Yeah. So, and if I'd have given it more time, she probably would have been fine with it. So.
What advice do you give your friends and kids your own age as to what they should do to strive for success like you are?
Just never give up and chase your dreams and don't let anyone pull you down.
And have a great support system like mom and dad, huh?
Yes, it takes that. I have people ask me all the time, where do you buy your horses at? And I'm like, well, you don't really call Bill Fick and say, I need a 450. It doesn't work like that. It's a ton of work to put all these pieces together, right. And hours and research and figuring out, is that horse's style? And that was kind of one of my reservations about the Chino horse. Was I told her, I was like, we went to try him. I was like, and I didn't want to jinx it or her realize like, oh man, I'm not going to like this from the start. And so I told her, I was like, he's got a little bit of different style. Make sure you like it. Well, she won the barrel race 2 days in a row, actually outran Donna K. Roll, and I'm like, okay, this is going to work. And she won the NBHA state show on him in Buckeye, Arizona, all 4 days. Won the open all 4 days. Won it. Like no one else was even close. No, maybe one day, the lady who's a vet, Kathy Grimes, barely outran her one day, but Dusky Lynn won the other days. Anyway, so it wasn't like it was just a disaster, I mean, it worked good, and then some days it didn't work good. Like it wasn't like Wally that just won every time, but it's hard to find those horses that you win on every time like that.
Growing up in this new world of social media, what do you tell your friends being online all the time, and say somebody comes at them a little negative? What do you tell them?
Just don't take it, because if you're above them, they're going to try to pull you down back to them.
Kiddo, it sounds like you are on a roll here. Being able to talk barrel horses, barrels, rodeo. I'm sad that I did not see you do the roping at all, but it's always fun watching you run barrels.
She has roped a little bit. We have, her brother ropes. And so when we got home from Vegas, the year she won the truck, she said, I told her the barrel horses are getting turned out. Like, you're not even going to ride them. We're going to turn them out. Well, then I want to learn how to rope today, because she had a nice little breakaway horse in the barn that I had bought her back that was her brother's. I got her back for her to learn on. So what, about a week? She had a hole in her pinky where she swung the rope so much. Put some electric tape on it. I'm going to learn how to rope today. Like today. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like, the horse has had enough. Like, we're done with this. And we were just pulling the sled around the arena, but she was catching. So then she's like, we need some calves. We need to rope. And I'm like, no, we got to get ready to get back on the barrel horses, And so she has roped, just never out of the box, never at an event. She knows how to rope. But normally when we get good at it, and then I'm like, okay, well, we've got review buckle to get ready for. We've got breeder shower, an American qualifier. Like, we got to get back on the barrel horses now, So we kind of always just put it to the side. And she can win so much money barrel racing. It's not like what we would need to change,
What does it feel like to see other sports now supporting the barrel racing and the women's rodeo to get recognition from everyone else?
It's amazing that they let us do this sport.
And the culture because it's not only the sport itself. People are now grasping the culture a heck of a lot.
People want to be cowboys. Yeah. I mean, it's that's like the cool thing or whatever. Yeah. We don't even, people ask me all the time, does she see the things on social media where people are like, oh, she whips or she has spurs, or how people always comment all that stuff. And even our friends are like, does Dusky Lynn read that stuff? And I'm like, no, she's driving her Segway around, or she's on Goody in the arena running him, around the barrels, or she's in school. Does she have time to read social media? No, because she's either rode 5 or 6 horses today, done school for 4 or 5 hours. Now she's on her Segway. No, she doesn't have time to sit around and read Facebook or TikTok or whatever. She's a kid, Yeah, I mean, she's in the spotlight all the time, but like, she's still a kid. We still do kid things. We go to the mall. They went to the mall yesterday, so no, she doesn't really have time to read other people's negative comments, so, and we don't care about that. We have a really small circle of people that support us, and that's all that really matters. What other people say, oh, well, if it was Ashley Schaefer or, Cassie Mowry or somebody that was like, I think you probably should change this, we would probably listen. But somebody on their couch at home that probably has never even been to a barrel race that says something, who cares what they say? They don't matter anyways, And that's the mentality I teach her. Not that she has time to read any of that mess. And I don't either. We had a friend whose daughter got on Facebook. She had done really well in an event. It was the WCRA, the junior one, and she had won the senior barrels. Well, they posted, right? Well, then the comments started, and the mom was every comment trying to, argue with people. And I private messaged her and I said, look, you're adding fuel to the fire. Don't even acknowledge that they said anything. These people don't matter to your daughter's future. They don't have any bearing on her financial success. Who cares what they say? Well, it's just bothering me. They're just talking bad about my daughter. I was like, don't worry about it. Let it go. Who cares? Just don't even let it bother you, because if you do, you're actually making it worse for yourself than what you're even saying back to those people. So just let it go. And she was like, that's the best advice you could give me, because I was getting so upset about people talking about my daughter. And I'm like, if she's going to be popular, they're going to say bad things about you. So just who cares? And so anyway, she finally was like, okay. And like, I don't ever want her on the internet again. And I'm like, if she's going to be good, she's going to get posted. It's just part of it, because all the things that people post about her, I don't post that stuff. I'm not the mom that's like bragging about, people put her on there, not from my approval. It just happens, and so you just have to be able to just take it with a grain of salt and don't care about what anybody says. And so that's what we do, don't we?
What do we have on the horizon? Where are we going? What rodeos are we going to see at?
We're taking the summer off.
Okay.
We're probably not going to go anywhere. Her horses have worked hard and done well for her, and the summer gets so hot here in Texas. And so we'll probably take June and July off. That's what we normally do. And then August 1st, we usually head off to Rock Springs to the Royal Crown. We go to the Fizz Bomb. We go to the Cornhusker. It has an American qualifier. The Breeders' Challenge finale. She's already got all of her horses qualified for the Breeders' Challenge finale, for the Open, the Derby, like all the things they can be in. Pink Buckle will be in October. That's pretty much it. We don't really have the All-American Youth we normally go to in Jackson, Mississippi, but they moved it to Shelbyville, Tennessee, which is twice as far for us to drive. And they want us to come, but I told them, I was like, her horses really need a break. Like in the month of May, at just the Royal Crown, she won like 50 grand. So it's like they need a break. Just give them a break. And we've just bought these 2 horses that she's ran and already won on. And it's like, okay, I need to get them in my program and get them really right, and then take back off in August. So that's kind of what our plan is, to just take the summer off and go on vacation or something, do something non-horse related. So we like to go to the beach. We usually take like a week vacation in the summer and just go to Cabo or go do something and just relax, don't we? Because we don't ever relax. I mean, we get up early, we ride horses till lunch. We usually go to lunch, and then she does school. She didn't do school today, but that's normally what we do.
Dusky and Mom Dusky and Grandma Dusky and everybody down the line, you are such superstars, and it has been so great to just sit here and talk to you. And especially, like I said, you're so young doing this, and you're just gonna keep.
I hope so.
That's the plan. Yeah, that's the plan. We try. Yeah, we passed a couple of the older horses down. The little girl we sold the jet letter Sabby, she's 7. And so then we replaced, an 11-year-old and Dexter's 12 with a 5 and a 7-year-old horse, so you just have to keep updating your fleet to keep up with, the goals that she wants to accomplish.
How do you feel growing the sport the way you have, especially pulling younger people into it?
It's amazing what we get to do.
Have you seen crowds getting a little bit bigger with the popularity?
Not really.
Not really.
She doesn't pay attention to any of that stuff. No, she's there to do her thing, take care of her horse, and she doesn't really worry about all that. I think when they said broke the sound barrier at the American, she looked at me, she's like, what does that mean? So really, she doesn't really worry about any of that stuff. We kind of live in our own little world. We have a really nice facility here where we live, and we just ride horses every day, and we do school because she has to, that's not her favorite thing. So no, she doesn't really worry about it. I know she likes to help other kids. She helped the little girl that bought Jack, she helps her. And you like helping people. She likes helping other little people that want to be barrel racers, that want to do what she's done.
Well, Dusky, it has been such a pleasure having you on. My name is Tatiana Ryan. This is the Businessy Podcast, and this has been the pint-sized barrel racing prodigy